بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم تقبل منا وتب علينا يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك، ولا تجعلنا يا مولانا من الغافلين عن ذكرك ولا عن طاعتك، وتب علينا واغفر لنا وارحمنا وتقبل منا. اللهم إني أعوذ بك أن أضل أو أضل أو أجهل أو يجهل علي. اللهم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. اللهم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلبنا على طاعتك. اللهم آمين. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiallahu anhu had reported, as it came in Sahih Muslim, that the Prophet ﷺ said, we went to the Prophet ﷺ, we prayed with the Prophet ﷺ al-Maghrib. Then we sat down, we decided to wait until Isha. And then we pray Isha, and then we go home. So the Prophet ﷺ came out and he said, what are you doing? Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiallahu anhu said, Ya Rasulullah, we prayed with you al-Maghrib, and then we decided to wait until we pray Isha, and then we go home. So they said that the Prophet ﷺ have looked up to the sky, and he used to look up the sky often. That's one of the things that the Prophet ﷺ used to do, that he used to look up to the sky. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, the stars are the secure part of the sky. النجوم أمانة للسماء. The stars are the secure, or the security, if we can interpret the word amana, or aman, by security. If you have a different word or a better word, help me out. And then he said,
guardians, like protectors and
guardian, that would be a better word. Jazakallah khair. And he said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, if the nujum, if the stars left or went or disappeared, أتى السماء ما توعد. It will happen to the sky what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, that is gonna happen to it. إذا السماء انفطرت, that is gonna be falling all apart. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, وَأَنَا أَمَنَةٌ لِأَصْحَابِي. I'm also the guard for my companions. فَإِذَا ذَهَبْتُ أَنَا, if I had left, indicating that the Prophet ﷺ had passed away, أَتَى أَصْحَابِي مَا يُوعَدُونَ. My companion will happen to them what they've been promised. And then let me finish the hadith, and then I will go back to each segment of the hadith and try to work on it. And he said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, my companion are the guard or the secure for my ummah. When my sahaba, when my companion have gone, then ata ummati ma tu'ad. Then my ummah will face whatever is happening or whatever is going to come to them. This hadith, reported by Muslim. There are other narrations to this hadith reported by Al-Hakim and Imam al-Tirmidhi, and there are other people beside Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiallahu anhu who had reported the hadith, like Jabir ibn Abdullah and so on. So the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ is giving us three kinds of guards or three kinds of security. One one kind of security is what we call it amanun kawni. You know, it's the hand of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tell the stars when to go. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who orders the judgment day and the signs of the judgment day to start and to appear. This particular security or this particular guardian or whatever, we cannot do anything about. It's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's part of the creation, the order, the fate of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second part is, when the Prophet ﷺ is gone, then the Sahaba will face something. What do they face? If we go through the history, we'll find out that the Sahaba have or had disputes. And one of the biggest disputes is the dispute between Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anh and Sayyidina Muawiyah, and the dispute of killing Uthman radiallahu anhu, and so on. And all those fitan, or those problems that we can read in the history that happened when the Prophet ﷺ had gone. Some of the scholars said it is more than that. What happened was too much. But the Prophet ﷺ said that when I go, you know, the Sahaba is going to be faced with something very big. The biggest one, or one of the big one, was that the rejectors, the one that Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu had fought. And then Musaylam al-Kazzab, that also they fought that one, and there are too many Sahaba radwanullahi alayhim have died defending Islam in al-Yamama with the battle of Musaylama. And then all those people who came and made the claim, like Abdullah ibn Saba, ibn al-Sawda, it was called, which was a Jew. He appeared to be a Muslim at the time of Sayyidina Umar. Then he left the Medina because he found out there is nothing he can do to the Sahaba, because he wanted to spread rumors and he wants to separate and make all those kind of division in the Islamic ummah. So those are some of the things. And then the people who come because of Abdullah bin Saba, and they killed the Khalifa Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu, and so on. You all know about all those calamities. This is part of the hadith. When the Prophet ﷺ is gone, the Sahaba will face what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had ordained. Now we are at the third part. When the Sahaba are gone, then the ummah will face with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had ordained. So what do we face nowadays? Most of the scholars, when they come to this hadith, they said what we are facing and doing it all the time is the division. We're being divided. That's one. Why are we divided? We are divided because we are right now, we're not talking about 1,400 years ago, we're talking about right now. The biggest problem we have is what we call the logical mind, or the logical thinking, or the school of logic, or al-madrasa al-aqlaniyah. We have so many people using their brain, using their mind, and trying to interpret Islam the way they see it. Nobody has the right to interpret Islam the way they see it. Islam does not belong to anybody. Islam belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet. Every division, every deviation we find in Islam, the reason for it is because people have been deviated from the Book of Allah and the true Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and the understanding of the Sahaba to the Quran and to the Sunnah. So all those people who they are coming with this good idea, it seems to them that they're coming with good idea. They're coming up with different interpretation. As a matter of fact, the other day there was somebody who was giving a lecture. They said the American way, you know, the American way of Islam. You know, what's the American way of Islam? How you could make Islam American? And then he mentioned so many of this particular phenomena by saying that the woman in America dress different than the woman in Saudi Arabia. The women in America, they do this and that. They go to work, they mingle with men, they do this. Men in America do that. Men in America, they have this. They can buy houses with riba. They can buy cars with riba. They can engage in so many activities that a lot of people in the past used to consider it to be haram, you know. So, but it's okay because we're living in America. All those ideas and fabrication that people are coming up with, this is what we have to be aware of. The ummah being divided, like the Prophet ﷺ said in numerous narrations, that the Jews were divided into so many sectors, 72, 71. The Christian divided into 72. Muslims will be divided into 73. I don't care and I don't pay attention to anybody who's trying to make himself a scholar by making this hadith unauthentic. The scholar that we trust them, they said that this hadith is okay, is authentic. And beside, look in your own eye, how many sects and how many divisions we are. In one thought, on one Islamic thought, how many people or how many groups they have different idea and different understanding and different interpretation. Anyway, so bid'ah and dalalat, misconceptions and innovations that's happening in the ummah, you know. So many things. In the masjid, you will see so many innovations. Your job and my job is to correct people. It's your job and my job to fight bid'ah, to fight innovations, to fight misguidance, to fight ill interpretation of the hadith of the Prophet or the interpretation of the Quran, which is so many. Go onto the internet, you'll find so many so-called scholars trying to make interpretation and understanding and this and that into some of the Islamic concepts. And that's why I had chosen this topic today, because of what I see. Every time I go and I meet with some people, you know, I find innovations. I find people fabricating things. We were invited the other day, you know, in a gathering. I count between me and myself 1, 2, 3, 4 different innovations. Believe it or not, sometimes I'm able to speak, sometimes I'm not able to speak. I have weaknesses. But this is how much they are. In the Islamic Center the other day, one of the brothers, Jazallah khair, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him and give us hidayah. He finished the adhan of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but the adhan did not finish by La ilaha illallah. The adhan that we have learned and stated in the Bukhari, the end of it, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah. This brother have 3, 4 sentences after that. He's making salah on the Prophet ﷺ as part of the adhan. I told him. I said, Ya akhi, the salah is not part of the adhan. You finish the adhan, you shut off the mic, and then between you and yourself, you make salah to the Prophet ﷺ, and then you ask for the Prophet ﷺ al-wasila. This hadith is authentic. The Prophet ﷺ said, after the adhan, sallu alay, then say, Allahumma رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آتي محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة والدرجة العالية الرفيعة. There are some other narration in Tirmidhi and Tabarani, وبعثه اللهم المقام المحمود الذي وعدته. That's it. And then the Prophet ﷺ, whoever said that, he will secure, inshallah, that he will receive my shafa'ah on the judgment day, as reported Muslim, Imam Ahmad, and so on. So Salli ala Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is in your heart after you finish the adhan. But it's not part of the adhan. The person, when I told him that, he want to fight me. And he started accusing me and telling everybody, look at this guy. He's making himself sheikh. He does not love the Prophet. Subhanallah al-Azim. So that's why sometimes you will find out that you have to shut up because you cannot say the truth, because people do not want to know the truth. And that's what it came in the hadith, that one day will come that al-ma'ruf becomes munkar, wal-munkar becomes ma'ruf, al-iyadu billah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from that particular time. But anyway, this is something small. But this is what we are facing, and I thought it will be important for you to know. In this hadith, as if the Prophet ﷺ is helping us to understand, in order for you to be safe, in order for you to be secure, you have to depend on the Prophet ﷺ, and you have to depend on the Sahaba. The Sahaba is our guard. When I need to know something, I need to go and find out how the Sahaba understood it. Why? First of all, the Sahaba is the one who conveyed to us Al-Quran wa Sunnah. The Sahaba are the one who had witnessed the Prophet ﷺ upon the revelation. The Sahaba are the one who had witnessed the reason, the circumstances, that what happened when that particular hadith happened, or when that particular ayah have been descended. They were there. The Sahaba are more and better, and their understanding is far more accurate and essential, more than us, their understanding of the language. They know the language better than us. Right now when we read, I have dictionary next to me. I need to find out what this word means, and what does it mean in this particular sentence, and. We are so weak and poor in the understanding of the Arabic language. The Sahaba, they did not have that problem. The Sahaba, they have more piety. They don't lie. Their thinking is correct. Their thinking have more awe to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have more fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They fear to lie. They fear to make mistakes. They fear to say on Allah and the Prophet what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not say. They fear that. Today, mashallah, we have no fear. The other day, one person was talking, and they're denying that we should have fear. We shouldn't have fear. We should be all secure. Islam is beautiful, Islam is this, Islam is that, Islam is this. Some of what they're saying are true, some of it is wrong. But the way they mix it up, it comes up to be wrong. I have to be fearful of saying something wrong. Every time we speak, we said, Allahumma لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا اللهم إني أعوذ بك أن أضل أو أضل اللهم إني أعوذ بك أن أجهل أو يجهل علي. We are fearful. The Sahaba were a lot more in a higher degree of fear of saying on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam behalf what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not say or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not say. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had warned all of the ummah till the judgment day. من كذب علي متعمدا فليتبوأ مقعده من النار. The one who lied on behalf of me deliberately, let him secure a place in the hellfire. You see? So they were a lot more fearful than us. So their understanding is better, their language is better, their level of taqwa is a lot higher than us. Okay? They have watched and they've seen. That's why we need to depend on them as we trusted them by conveying to us the text, whether it is Quran or whether it is Sunnah. We also need to trust them to convey to us the understanding of this particular text. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ is saying. As-Sahaba amanatun li ummati. As-Sahaba are the guard or the secure one for the ummah. When we leave the Sahaba, when we leave the understanding of the Sahaba, we have all those innovations and we have all those kind of school that we're seeing today on the internet and we're seeing on TV, on the other channels, and all those kind of communication gadget that we're having today. We see all those opinions of the people. This is one. I will stop right this and ask if somebody have a question or comment. Please. Nothing?
Not
Dr.
yet.
Wasser?
Not yet.
Nothing. The other hadith that I would like to share with you today is that the Prophet ﷺ, one day he made, as he was sitting with the Sahaba, they sit on the ground, on the floor, and the floor there is nothing in it. The floor made out of little rocks and dirt. There's dirt. So if you can hold something in your hand, you could draw on the dirt. So the Prophet ﷺ, one day he drew two lines, and he said, this is Islam as a straight line. On the side, right and left, there are two fences. And those fences, they have doors. And those doors, they have curtains covering them. And there is one at the door of this particular road, or they call it as-sirat. He's calling people to come in. And as they are coming in, he's telling them to go straight and do not deviate. And he said, this sirat is long. It's not a short one. And there is one sitting on top of the sirat. Every time you come to one of those doors that on the side of the fences, he will tell you, do not open it. If you open that door, you will enter it. So he's telling you, do not open that door. So the Prophet ﷺ is saying, that sirat is al-Islam. That guy who's standing by the door of that sirat who's telling you to come in and keep going straight is the book of Allah. And that one sitting on top, every time you come close to one of those doors, trying to enter it, he said, this is the guard, the believer, the good believer, or the angel inside your heart is telling you, do not open that door. The Prophet ﷺ said, that sirat is al-Islam. Those two fences are hududullah. Those fences are the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You should not go over those boundaries. And those doors are the maharim of Allah. Those are the forbidden things. So every time you come to this forbidden thing, the good angel inside of you, or the belief inside of you, or some of the scholars said, al-nafsu al-lawwama inside of you, because remember, we talked about the soul. The soul in the Quran came to be in three different categories. Al-nafsu al-lawwama, wal-nafsu al-mutma'inna, wal-nafsu al-ammaratu bis-su. Soul that's ammara bis-su, always will ask you, will push you to do the wrong thing. Nafs al-lawwama, the one who always try to reprimand you, telling you, why did you do this? Why did you do that? And so on and so forth. This nafs al-lawwama, it will blame you all the time if you do something wrong. And nafs al-mutma'inna is the soul of the believer. He does everything by the book of Allah, so that soul is calm, it has tranquility, always peaceful, always happy.
Do we have that soul on this earth, or that's for the hereafter? The mutmainna.
The scholar said those three are here.
Yeah.
You know? Those souls are here. Maybe you're saying what you're saying because of the ayah, يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي. The scholar said the one who is going to enter Jannah are the one who has that particular soul. You see, that's inshallah definite. Because it's mutma'inna. It does everything by the book. It has no shirk. It has a perfect belief. It does everything, you know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Ankabut, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَمَعَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. So those people who they struggle to do the right thing all their life, and they live on it, and they die on it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to waste their time. They have the nafs al-mutma'inna, they will enter Jannah. But in this dunya, they have nafs mutma'inna. So, and back to the hadith said, this hadith reported by Musnad Imam Ahmad and Imam al-Tirmidhi and al-Hakim في المستدرك على الصحيحين. Now, so this hadith, so this soul, that person who is sitting on the top, it's your soul inside of you, which knows the haram. Every time you come close to the haram, she tells you to come back. You see? So this hadith explaining to us what Islam is a straight path. In another narration, the Prophet ﷺ said, when he said Islam is straight, and he wrote that particular line, he had, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, recited the ayah of Surah Al-An'am, ayah 153, وَأَنَّ هَذَا صِرَاطِي مُسْتَقِيمًا فَاتَّبِعُوهُ وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا السُّبُلَ فَتَفَرَّقَ بِكُمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِهِ ذَلِكُمْ وَصَّاكُمْ بِهِ. So the ayah 153 of Surah Al-An'am, the Prophet ﷺ have recited this ayah when it comes to this particular one. So the road of Islam is a sirat, is a straight path. That straight path governed by the book of Allah and by the teaching of the Prophet ﷺ. The scholar said, what does it mean when the Prophet ﷺ said it's a long path? What does he mean? What does he want us to understand by describing that particular road and it is long? All the people who have interpreted this hadith, they said it means one thing. It is so long that it will consume all your life. Didn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated in ayah 102 of Surah Al Imran, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. Oh, you believe? Fear Allah in the way that He should be feared, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and do not die on any state except the state of Islam. What does that mean? It means that from day one till the last day of your life, you have to be on the path of Islam. When that particular road or path consumes all your life, that means it's a long road and it's a long path. You do not take vacation from it. You do not deviate. You do not depart. Because as a Muslim, you do not know when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to call you. You don't know when the angel of death is going to come. You don't know whether if you leave this masjid, you're going to get to your home. You don't know. Nobody knows. And this is one of the things Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have high on us. We don't know when we're going to die. It doesn't matter we are poor, rich, sick, healthy, young, old, doesn't matter. Every day. I mean, people are dying from all different walk of life. Okay? In order for you to die on the state of Islam, you have to be on that straight path. So that is going to be long. That means it's going to consume all your life. There are so many things is going to call you. So many doors on the right and the left of your life, of your path, you're going to see. And those doors, there might be friends, there might be brothers, there might be colleagues, we don't know who they are, who can call you to go with them. You see? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had warned us, we refrained from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We said, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قل أعوذ برب الناس. Seek refuge in Allah. From whom? قل أعوذ برب الناس. Who I seek refuge with? I seek refuge with Allah. You know? قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس. Here some of the doors. وسواس خناس. You tell yourself, you think, you have some shubuha, you have some misguidance, you have some misunderstanding, you have misinterpretation. It comes to your mind, some analysis. Somebody whispers in your mind something. Somebody telling you something. الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس. You hear a lot. You see a lot. Some of the stuff that you hear and you see will deposit in your soul. And then your brain will work on them. They might deviate you. So you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save you, to protect you, to be on His side from all those bad and ill whispers. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس. Where are the source of those? Where do they come from? من الجنة والناس. From al-jinn and from the human being. From both. There are some people who are more deviated than the devil himself. And that comes because maybe you love them, maybe you trust them, maybe you care for them, maybe they are surrounding you, maybe they're fun to be with, maybe, I don't know. You see? So be careful who you love, be careful who you associate with, be careful who you listen to, be careful on what you see. That door, according to that hadith, if you open it, you will enter it. So the best thing is not to open it, period. Not even to come close to it. Stay as much as possible with this sirat. Stay right there. What did the hadith say in the beginning? Come on in. The guy who's standing in front of the sirat, he's calling you to come in. What's his advice? In the hadith. خذوا and do not تعوجوا. Do not go right and left. Keep going straight. Keep going straight. Keep going according to the Quran and the Sunnah. The Quran and the Sunnah came by the Prophet ﷺ. It was received by you through the Sahaba. And they are Amana. They are the guardian. Okay? So, my kids, their friends, I talk to them. I see so many bad ideas going to their mind. It is very important to talk to somebody who is knowledgeable if you have misconception. Because when somebody hears an idea and he does not make it right, it's going to work on him. It's going to be developed inside himself. It might become an action later on. And then maybe you will stop there, but somebody will see you, will come and imitate you, and will take it from you, or you speak it to somebody, and they will develop on it, and it will become something else later on. And you're the source. Or somebody else who put it in your mind is the source. So be careful what I'm trying to say. Be careful of what you receive, especially the young one. Be careful to whom you hear. Be careful to what you see. Be careful to what you believe. And be careful of what you're saying. Because what you're saying may misguide somebody. Okay? Any question?
Can I give you a small example of nafs, amara, mutmainna, and nafs? For example, you find somebody dropped $20 bill. Nafs al-lawama says, pick it up, and you pick it up in the pocket. Nafs amara said. Nafs al-lawama says, no, it is not good. When you return it, you attain the nafs mutmainna. To him. Am I right? Because nafs amara says, pick it up, you put it in the pocket. Nafs al-lawama says, no, it is not right.
No.
Then you return it, so you attain the nafs mutmainna. If you attain nafs mutmainna, then you go. Otherwise, you can.
If you have nafs mutmainna, you will not pick it up to start with.
But the nafs al-amara is there. It's telling you to pick it up. Yeah.
You return it because of a nafs al-lawama.
Yeah, that's it.
But I see something don't belong to me. I don't pick it up, period. That's nafs al-mutmainna.
Agree, but
According to your
yeah,
analysis.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You took it, nafs al-ammara bis-su'.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
You return it because of nafs al-lawama.
Yeah.
But if you don't touch it, period,
Okay, I see.
that's nafs mutmainna.
Yeah.
Okay?
So I thought when I returned it, just nafs mutmainna.
لا, you return it nafs al-lawama.
Okay, I see.
Okay?
Yeah.
But it happened. You see something don't belong to you.
Yeah.
I don't take it. I don't touch it.
Yeah.
If I see $20, I might go. Brother Muhammad said, Muhammad, there's $20 right there. He's responsible for the masjid. Okay? Now you see it in the street. Your example is difficult. It's not easy. because it has more than one case to discuss. If you see a $20 in the street, you should not leave it. Because $20 doesn't look like there is anybody or belong to anybody.
Yeah.
All the $20 look the same.
Yeah.
So you pick it up as a Muslim than to leave it to somebody who might take it and buy drugs with it, or buy alcohol with it, or do some haram with it. That $20 you pick it up, that's not nafs ammara bisu, that's nafs mutma'inna inshallah.
Inshallah.
And you come and you put it in the masjid. You find a poor person, you give it to him. You find a needy person, you give it to him.
That's right.
You see? Of course, in the book of Al-Fiqh, they said if you find something you need to announce it for a
Yeah,
year,
yeah.
then after a year you take. The reason I'm telling you this, because that was in the book of Al-Fiqh, we need to learn, okay?
Yeah.
But in the middle of nowhere, I found $20. Who should I tell? I mean, and then when somebody comes to me and said $20, what kind of mark it has on it? May not have any mark on it. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
In your talk earlier, you said that the majority of the percentage of today's people, today's ummah, that commit bid'ah or innovations is due to their overuse of intellectual analysis. I always thought, and this is my intellectual analysis, that we commit bid'ah because we don't have enough intellectual information, we don't have enough truth about the deen, we don't have enough knowledge. That's why we make errors, we choose
Are you
paths
mixing
that-
between two things? Are you mixing between the intellectual analysis and between the proper information that comes from the Prophet and the Sahaba? The information
That's
comes
exactly
from...
what I'm talking about, yeah.
Well, then don't put me intellectual analysis into that sentence.
So what did
the
you mean
reason-
by that when you say intellectual and overuse of intellectual
You said it, I
analysis?
did not say it.
No,
said
you said in your lecture.
No, you said it.
No,
I
you
didn't
said something, yeah.
It's called reasoning. You can, yeah, as you can
Okay.
go to use
Yeah,
it.
that's-
When I said it, is somebody comes from no basis. Somebody has come with deviation. What does deviation mean? Deviation means that I will come up with something nobody before me had come up with. Like what we see some of those people, they're coming up with some rules and regulation. All the books of Al-Fiqh we don't find. Or we might find them, but that faqih, he made that rules, or he made that study, or he made that verdict because he himself had lacked. He did not have the proper text from the Prophet ﷺ or the proper understanding from the Sahaba. Because those people could, even though they are fuqaha, even though they are scholars, they could make mistake. They're good people.
The information was flawed.
But those good people, they could make mistake. Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, as he is one of the greatest ulama, have made a mistake. Al-Imam Shafi'i, one of the greatest ulama, have made a mistake. Not intentionally. He does not want to make mistake. He was praying so many rak'ah every day, he making so many dua every day, not to make mistake. But he made mistake because he's a human being, and because he still, doesn't matter how knowledgeable he still lack some information. And he said that. I am not saying that on his behalf, or on him. No, he is saying that on himself. رضي الله عنه وارضاه ورضي عن جميع العلماء والأئمة. Human being, the Prophet ﷺ gave us a title as a human being. كل بني آدم خطاء وخير الخطائين توابون. Every son of Adam, is subject to make a mistake. And the best among those, the best among those people who they make mistake are the people who they are repenting. They repent. We're not saying that an imam or any imam have made mistake deliberately. He want to deviate the ummah. Mahasha lillah. Ma'ad Allah. But they made mistake because they are a human being and because they have overlooked a particular text, they have misunderstood it, or they didn't have it, or they did not have it. Now, that's what I'm talking about. But this could be a mistake. But the intellectual, what you're talking about is somebody sat down and came up with an understanding that nobody ever crossed their mind from the Sahaba and the Tabi'een. We see those today. I have example. I don't want to waste your time. I have so-called scholars today. They are on the internet and here and there, and they are in universities, and they are giving lectures, and they're coming up on TV, and they're giving all kind of verdicts and study, and they have big degrees, doctors and so on, in Sharia and Fiqh. And, you know, I listen to them every day. I am not saying that they are deliberately doing that to deviate people. I cannot speak on the heart of anybody. What is in your heart is between you and Allah. I'm speaking on what you're saying. You see? What you're saying, there's violation. Somebody comes on TV the other day, he's saying, so-and-so said, so-and-so said, so-and-so said. I told the people sitting next to me, I said, the biggest mistake, those people are saying the truth. They are conveying what scholars have said. But today, since we know the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is already being collected. We know all the hadith. We can find out which one is good, authentic, which one is no good or weak or not authentic, you know. To a certain degree, we can find out. You have no right to depend on anybody saying, regardless how great they are, regardless or how big of a name they have, you cannot depend on that. If there is a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ authentic, that will violate that particular verdict that this great Imam, once upon a time, he had made. This is the problem with some of those people we're facing today. They said, Ya akhi, I'm not lying. I'm quoting to you so and so and so and so. Ya akhi, I'm not telling you you're lying, but I'm telling you there is something wrong. You need to understand what so and so scholar have said. He said it upon a time where the hadith of the Prophet was not collected. The hadith of the Prophet was not authenticized. So now we have that. So you have no right to depend on that particular scholar, on what he said, because his time is different than your time. You see? Right now we know what the Prophet has said. We know, we understand what the Prophet ﷺ said in this particular issue. So you cannot leave what the Prophet ﷺ said depending on whomever you want of the scholars.
I'm glad you clarified that, but my main question was this, that when the misguidance that is caused by innovation, obviously now I understand completely that it is due to misinformation or lack of correct, accurate information. If the Imam and in the scholars of Deen are prone to committing bid'ah, we are far greater to committing bid'ah and getting misguided. How do we protect ourselves against such a dangerous thing, especially living in the West and not having access to absolute authentic information at all times?
Living in the West, you give you no excuse. You have no excuse wherever you are living. The communication devices right now that we have, the free internet, the free phone lines, the sites that we have on the internet for so many scholars are open. So don't give me that stuff telling me that our deen is lost because we are living in America. Our deen is not lost. We can
That's not what I
find.
said. I said
No, no.
because we have so much access to this buffet of information because of the internet. How do we know which is correct?
فاسألوا أهل الذكر فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون.
Exactly.
Find out, study, and find out who's authentic, who's not authentic. Keep finding out, keep asking. And if you have done your best and you came up with the wrong thing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will pardon you. That's the last. If I'm doing everything within my possibility, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ghafurun Rahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not impose on me more what I can bear. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. And this is the mercy of Allah in this ayah. Read what the scholar Ridwanullahi alayhim had said. He said, this is one of the most merciful ayah in the Quran, but we don't see. Because he made a taqwa according to your ability, according to your might. He did not make taqwa one thing that you have to carry. He made the taqwa according to your ability, according to your might. And this is the rahmah of Allah. I have done, that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from me. Allah wants from me to do my best and my most and my utmost. And if I have done this, that's what Allah wants from me. فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. And then I made taqwa to Allah as I can, and then came up with the wrong thing. Let's say I came up with the wrong thing. The scholar said, I am pardoned. I am forgiving. Because لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Another rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah will not impose on you more than what you can bear. None. Okay? So, I like the way you put it. But, who do you trust? Put the scholar that we trust are known. The sources that we trust are known. We check with those sources. You know, a phone call will find out. And so on. Alhamdulillah, that's part of the ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anybody else? Anything? Fadal ya.
Sorry, Sheikh. I think, so one thought I have about this, you know, you're talking about with the scholars of the madhahib, right? Sometimes you hear people saying that because they made mistakes, because they didn't have full accurate information, right, rahimahullah, we should just do away with, we shouldn't even follow madhahib today. Some people say this.
No.
My understanding of the madhahib is that if you follow the Maliki madhab, for example, you're not just following the opinion of Imam Malik rahimahullah, you're following the opinion of thousands of scholars. You know,
Of what?
Huh?
You're following that?
The opinions, the collective, you know, the ijma' of thousands of scholars.
No, don't exaggerate. Don't say thousands. Say many scholars.
Many scholars.
Yeah, no.
The consensus that they have. And so it's a collective body of information.
No.
So what you said about the ahadith, you know, new ahadith coming into being, right? Over time, Maliki scholars, Hanafi scholars, they got new ahadith and they added that into the fiqh of the madhab. The madhab, you know, is not just a list, it's not just a syllabus of different opinions, right? It's a methodology, it's an usul of how you get to that opinion. So I mean, do you follow the idea that we should do away with madhab in general, as far as how we practice it ourselves?
Let me clear a little bit, if you don't mind.
Sure.
First of all, the madhab is very good. Regardless of the madhab is very good. Why the madhab is good? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want all of us to be ulama. That's not part of the sharia. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran different than that. He said, فلولا نفر من كل فرقة منهم طائفة ليتفقهوا في الدين, you know, ولينذروا قومهم إذا رجعوا إليهم. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, few people should become scholar. We should not, all of us, become scholar. If you are in an area that there are no scholars, and this is the only madhab adopted in that particular area, and there is one person who has the books and teaching that madhab, nobody is going to tell you leave the madhab. That's not something good. Okay? We're not going to tell people live the way you want to live according to your thinking, you know, just because you should not follow a madhab. Nobody in the right mind would say that. Okay? Madhab Imam Abu Hanifa radiallahu anhu was one of the greatest madhab. His opinion was one of the best. In an area where there were not so many madhab, there was not so many scholars. The ilm was not collected. The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ was not collected. Abu Hanifa radiallahu anhu wa ardah died in the 150 years of Al-Hijrah. There was no Muslim, no Bukhari, no Tirmidhi, no nothing. So you tell those people at that time, oh, you should not follow a madhab, that's something not right, not wise. Okay? Jazallah khair Abu Hanifa, Jazallah khair the people who followed Abu Hanifa, Jazallah khair the people who wrote the book of Abu Hanifa, and like, you know, Al-Muhtaj, or Hashiyat ibn Abdin, and so on and so forth. Okay? The same thing when you come with an Imam al-Shafi'i. How many of us can have the understanding of Imam al-Shafi'i? How many of us can have the collectiveness of Imam al-Shafi'i? We don't. Imam al-Shafi'i left Baghdad, Syria, Egypt. He met all those scholars. He took from them. He's very smart, very intelligent. He absorbed the Quran. He absorbed the Sunnah. He had Imam al-Shafi'i. You know, the problem is we don't know who we're talking about. And Imam al-Shafi'i is one of the first people. Look at the book of Al-Risala that he had put together. The scholars said today, the doctors they teach fiqh, they said Al-Risala is one of the book that was compiled to give you the sources, the rules on how to derive to a particular rules or regulation from a text. And him, radiallahu anhu, Imam Shafi'i said, الناس عالة على أبي حنيفة في الفقه. Abu Hanifa was before him, is the one who also compiled some of the rules and regulations on how to derive to a particular verdict from a text. He would solve those rules. They're the one who established this. Nobody can deny their role. Now, and you go to Imam Malik, you go to Imam Ahmad, you cannot speak enough about those A'imma. And besides, we have so many more A'imma. We have Al-Imam Al-Awza'i. We have Al-Imam Al-Layth ibn Sa'd. We have Ata ibn Abi Rabah. We have hundreds. And I am not exaggerating. Okay? But those are good for what they have come for. I'm talking about today. Today, any particular issue in al-fiqh, you'll find out opinions. You'll find out study. I'm going to give you an example. One time I was praying in Damascus not too long ago, about 5-6 years ago. It was Salatul Isha. True story will illustrate what we're talking about. Okay? The Sheikh, the Imam, have made a mistake in Salatul Isha. After he finished the Salah, he decided to make sujood sahwi. The Shaykh, after he finished the tashahhud, said Allahu Akbar. He went down, he made the first sujood, he made the second sujood, and he made taslim. Some people behind him said, Ya Shaykh, you have made a mistake. This is not the way you're supposed to make sujood sahw. Why? Oh Ya Shaykh, we have studied, we have learned that you should make taslima to the right and then go down and make two sujood. The Shaykh is very intelligent. And maybe he knows the people of the masjid, that they are from different walk of life. And he does not want to have a great argument. He said, Ya Shaykh Hassan, one of the guys of the masjid, go to the library inside and get us the book Al-Fiqh al-Madahib al-Arba'a. There is a book, it's called Al-Fiqh al-Madahib al-Arba'a. If I'm not mistaken, Imam al-Juzayri. So he went, that guy, he got the book. The Sheikh sat down with the microphone and opened the book on the, I'm telling you an actual story. You go today, you open the book of Al-Fiqh al-Madahib al-Arba'a, you will find what I'm talking to you about. So I'm not giving you something hypothetical. He opened up. If I have not lost my memory, and I'm gonna, because I have not checked it. I'm just remembering 6-7 years ago what the guy had said. Guess how many opinions there are on sujood al-sahw on the book of Al-Fiqh al-Madahib al-Arba'a. I'm asking you. Do you know how many opinions there are? Does anybody can guess?
I know about two.
2.
4.
4.
More.
17.
Yeah.
That's what the Sheikh said.
Yeah.
Wallahu a'lam. I am not quoting him wrong, and I did not check it. But I will go inshallah today and I will check it. 17 saying, 17 opinion of how you make sujood al-sahw. Now I'm asking you, can you claim that those 17 people are ignorant? Can you claim that those 17 people, they want to deviate us? Do I need those 17 opinion? I'm asking you. Before I ask that, hold on.
How is it possible to have 17? That's unbelievable. Wow.
I'm going to go to Sunnah Ibn Majah. And the Sunnah Ibn Majah, Sheikh Nasruddin Albani rahimahullah, have made authenticized some and made some weak. This hadith is authentic from Sunnah Ibn Majah, that the Prophet ﷺ was praying one of the salawat. He made a mistake in the numbers of the rak'ah. When the Prophet ﷺ sat down for a tashahhud, said Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and then he made 2 sujood. Okay? In Musnad al-Imam Ahmad, there is a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ also made a mistake in the salah, and the Prophet ﷺ, remember the hadith of Dhul Yadayn, where the Prophet ﷺ have shortened the salah, and they told him, "Aqsirat salah ya Rasulullah," so on. He said, "Nama aqsirat salah." Said, "You missed a rak'ah," so he went and he got a rak'ah, and then he made sujood. In that hadith, one of the narration, he did not make taslima. So we have 2 hadith. One hadith said he made taslima, and then he made 2 sujood. One hadith, he did not make taslima and he made 2 sujood. Some of the scholars said if you increase something in the salah, you will make taslima because you do not want to make more. Like for example, if you pray dhuhr 5 rak'ah, okay, when you come to the last tashahhud, you make taslima to the right, and then you make 2 sujood sahw. But let's say that you pray dhuhr 3 rak'ah, and you remember that you're missing a rak'ah, so you got up and you made a rak'ah. In this situation, you do not make taslim, you come up with the 2 sujood. So if you lessen the salah, you don't make taslim. If you increase in the salah, you make taslim. Somebody came up with this idea. Now, 1, 2, 3. We have hadith here, we have hadith here. What I'm saying, what I am telling, if I have the hadith of the action of the Prophet ﷺ, why do I need those 17's opinion? That's what I'm saying. I don't need those 17 opinions, even though some of those opinions are Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali, Awza'i, this and that, whatever. All what I'm saying is, once upon a time, there was a need for those opinions. The need for those opinions before we have compiled Ibn Majah, before we have compiled Musnad Imam Ahmad, before we knew that this hadith is authentic and that hadith is not authentic. At that time, those are needed. I'm talking to you today. Today, I don't need that. That's why I do not go back to Al-Fiqh al-Madahib al-Arba, a great book for hundreds of years ago. Today, I don't need it. Today, because the hadith of the Prophet is being compiled. So I don't want somebody to ask me the question, should I follow a madhab or I should not follow a madhab? The madhab was great. The A'immah great. The A'immah are the best people in time. The A'immah, we need them to understand, to learn from them, to see their idea. Why did they say what they said? Why did they come up with this verdict? But at the end, I have the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ clear and vivid and authenticized right in front of me. Jazakallah khair for the question, because I'm going to come up with a rule right now. The scholar have come up with it. He said, nobody, big or young, can or should, if he knows the hadith of the Prophet in a particular issue, he has no right to leave that hadith for anybody's opinion. Nobody has a right. If Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah was alive and he knew that this hadith is authentic, he himself would not accept, and he would not accept anything except to take with it or to abide by it. And Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah said, whomever, and Imam Hanifa said, and all the scholars said, whomever finds out a hadith of the Prophet that will be, if they find any of my verdict violating the hadith of the Prophet, you have no right to follow my verdict. You have no right. That is their saying.
We have plenty of
8
time.
o'clock. You pray 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock?
Yeah.
I'm not going to pray 8 o'clock. For God's sake, it's too
You're the
much.
boss. You're the boss. Whenever you want.
This is punishment. This is not Yeah, you got me, akhi?
I do, but can I ask another thing?
Tafadhal.
So with that though, because when we look at the madahib though, so like you mentioned 2 ahadith that have 2 different ways of praying, right? Of doing this and this how. So how do you, because like I said, with the madahib you have usul of how you get to which hadith we should take, which opinion we should take. So I can understand what you're saying for the layman, that yeah, a layman doesn't need to say I'm Maliki or Shafi'i or anything like this, but for an alim, for a scholar, wouldn't it make sense that he would have a certain methodology, a certain usul that he or she would take of how they make opinions, how they make fatwas, things like this?
I don't think I understand the question. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't understand what you're saying. Go ahead and repeat.
Sure.
And make it shorter and more
Okay.
clear,
Sure.
if you don't mind.
For laymen, for people like me,
For layman, what's layman?
laymen, just
Layman.
Regular people.
common people, not scholars.
Amen.
No.
Okay.
For people like that, it makes sense that you would say that you don't need to take on like I'm Maliki or I'm Shafi'i.
Okay, hold on.
Uh-huh.
I'm a layman, right?
Sure.
I'm a layman. I'm a ammi. I live around here and I come to the masjid. This masjid has sheikh. And this sheikh follow al-madhab al-Hanafi. For whatever I have problem with, I come and ask him. He will give me verdict. He will give me the opinion of al-madhab Hanafi. And I am layman, illiterate, not knowledgeable person, so I follow him. This guy got transferred to Florida. The masjid brought another person who was Shafi'i. Now, do I go to the masjid and say, Akhi, listen, if you don't bring me one Hanafi, I'm not going to listen to this guy because this guy is Shafi'i. Or, in your opinion, should I follow this guy or should I stick with the other guy? What should I do?
Both. The one who's imam.
To make it easy on you, the scholar said, if you are a layman, your sheikh, your madhab is whomever you ask.
Right. That's what I'm asking.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
Because I have no knowledge.
Right.
I don't know any better. Like now, people ask me. Today, somebody made a call for me. Today, they said I have this particular issue, and I found your number. I'm calling you. What should I do in this situation? I said you should do this. He said Jazakallah khair. I said, Ya akhi, don't you want to understand why I am telling you this? He said no. Ya akhi, you should. He said, Ya akhi, I don't have time. And besides, they told me you are knowledgeable somewhat, whatever they told me. So I believe and trust you. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum. So I'm saying is, if I am not knowledgeable, if I am a ammi, if I am layman, if I am this, if I'm that, you could ask Hanafi, you could ask Shafi'i, you could ask Hanbali, you could ask anybody you ask.
I think this was the main.
So what I'm saying is, which I just said it earlier, it's the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala required from me is فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مُسْتَطَعْتُمْ. You see, it is this what I can. The only person I know who has some knowledge is you. So I came to you and I asked you, follow. Now, whatever you tell me, I'm going to do. Wrong, right, it's on you, and I have done the right thing. That's why I answered the brother. He said, the brother, he put it beautifully. I don't know if you were here or not. He said, well, I'm using his term. He said, we have a buffet
Yeah, I agree.
of so many bid'ah and dalalat. And how do I know? Okay. You try to do your best to find out the truth. But whatever you come up with, tell us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will pardon you. Okay? So,
Sheikh, I have one question following his, and this has been bothering me, and I'm kind of afraid. I was born into a Hanafi family, and over the years, I call myself Ahl Sunnah and Jama'ah. I don't particularly.
hold on.
Remember, I haven't asked my question yet.
Hold on. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And until now, you're getting into so many big stuff, and this is recorded. We don't want to get in trouble. Al-Hanafi are people of Ahl Sunnah al Jama'ah.
I understand.
Al-Shafi'i is Ahl Sunnah al Jama'ah. Do not deviate.
Yeah.
Do not make them two issues, two things. Like Madhab Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah is one thing and Hanafi is another thing. When you open your mouth, it gave that indication.
I want to clarify. The reason why I consider myself Ahl Sunnah and Jama'ah because I pay equal respect to all madhab as long as they're according to Quran and Sunnah and within my understanding and knowledge. But here's my question.
Alhamdulillah. Tafadhal.
I see myself, I hope not, but I'm probably guilty of it, but I've seen many other brothers. Since I was born into Hanafi family, I can point my Hanafi brothers as to how they pray. That we do certain things, certain, be it say takbir, or where we hold our hand, or small things, that when we know that we don't have strong enough ahadith to do it that way, yet we still continue to do it because we consider ourselves belonging to that particular madhab, rather than doing it according to a stronger hadith as to where to hold and how to say the takbir. How should we position ourselves? Should we get over our prejudice and do it the right way with a stronger hadith, or should we stick with the lesser hadith but belong to a madhab?
Do you know what misconception means?
Right.
What does it mean in Arabic? Shubuh.
Shubuhat, yeah.
We have inherited so many shubuhat. Some of those shubuhat you cannot clear very easily. For example, my father, if I come to him and I said, Father, he's Hanafi. You put your hand like this under the navel, in the salah. That's what he stand up, all the way down here. Father, there is a hadith authentic by so many scholars, by so many Sahaba, that the Prophet ﷺ used to put his right hand over his left hand on his chest in the salah, above the navel. It's not under the navel. My father's answer, rahimahullah, will say, you little thing, you think that Imam Abu Hanifa, the great Imam, does not know what you know? Don't you think the great Imam will know the difference between this hadith and the other hadiths? Are you telling me that you are more knowledgeable than Imam Abu Hanifa? Okay. I don't want to hear that from you again, or I make your head goes around, So we shut up. We go to another person who is not my father, who does not have that power on me. We tell him the same thing. And here's the intelligent study of the others. The other person is nice, He said, I have a question for you. I said, what? He said, here's the source, which is the Prophet ﷺ, right? Which one will be able to tell the truth? The one who is closer to the Prophet, or the one who is further from the Prophet? The logical answer is the one who is closer to the Prophet. Then that person will say, well, Abu Hanifa was the closest. He died 150 years of Al-Hijrah. Al-Shafi'i died after. Malik, Ahmad, so on and so on, until you come today, right here. So who is closer to the source will know better. Logical understanding, logical things. It is difficult to fight what people had grown up on. It's difficult to fight what they have inherited. Everything they said is true. The one who is closer to the Prophet will know better. Okay? In a way, true, but not true by its entirety, because we are going to tell those people we are even getting closer than Abu Hanifa by listening to the immediate people around the Prophet, by listening to the Prophet himself, by listening to the Sahaba around him. by listening to the one who had compiled the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Those are closer than Abu Hanifa. I'm going to Ibn Abbas, I'm going to Ibn Mas'ud, I'm going to those people. Abu Hanifa radiallahu anhu did not get all this information. The hadith was not compiled at his time. You need a person to be patient to talk to him. Those people are not. I cannot talk to my father. I am not telling my father that I know more than Abu Hanifa. Nobody knows more than Abu Hanifa. Abu Hanifa was an encyclopedia of knowledge. But do you tell me, or can anybody tell me that Abu Hanifa had all the knowledge? Had all the information? No. Abu Hanifa, when he said that hadith, Abu Hanifa radiyallahu anhu wa ardah does not know that this hadith is authentic or not. He does not know. The hadith, the Prophet ﷺ used to put his right hand over his left hand under the surah fi salah. This hadith is reported and is not authentic. There is a guy in it, it's called Abu Luhay'a in it, and he is not authentic, and the chain that comes with it is not authentic. And beside the action of the Sahaba, the wording of the Prophet, the description of the Salah of the Prophet, by 20 ahadith, I'm not going to exaggerate, by 20 ahadith that the Prophet ﷺ used to put his hand over his chest. We don't have one authentic hadith that the Prophet ﷺ put it under his navel. But as long as misconception in the mind of people that Abu Hanifa is the most knowledgeable, Abu Hanifa is the most pious, which he is. But there is a difference, brother. I'm going to tell that person today, if you are sick and you need an open heart surgery, do you want Ibn Sina to open your heart, or do you want a doctor from St. Luke's to open your heart? Which one do you trust more? That is the father of the medicine. That's what they say. You know, Abu Tub. But he does not have all the knowledge. All the information was not collected. Now it is collected. So you trust a small doctor who has no name. You trust him to open your heart versus Ibn Sina or Ibn Nafis. You see, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the compilation of ilm. How many hundred of years our mashayikh used to teach in the masajid the sunnah, and they don't know which one is authentic, which one is not. How many years they have done that? Believe it or not, I was one of the students of those mashayikh. We opened Ibn Majah, we studied from the first hadith to the last hadith. Never, my Shaykh rahimahullah said this is authentic, this is not. Never ever crossed his mind. 40, 50 years ago, that was not the question, to say that hadith is not authentic. Not too long ago, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, we made in the Islamic Center what we call it like small course in the science of the hadith. Alhamdulillah, I was honored to be the one who is giving the glimpse of that particular hadith. A brother comes to me after the halaqah and he said, Ya akhi, what kind of audacity you have? You claim that there is a hadith that is not authentic. He want to eat me up, he want to kill me. He's telling me, what kind of audacity, yani haqara, that you have to claim hadith that is not authentic. If you said it's a hadith, it's enough privilege for that saying to be called hadith. يعني يكفيه شرفا أن تقول أن هذا حديث. When you say it's hadith, you shouldn't say it's weak or not weak. Now I looked, I said, Subhanallah, how far you can go with this guy to teach him?
Not far.
Not far?
Yeah.
Wallah, it's too far. Wallah, 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 it's too much. You see? So, back again. Jazakallah khair, brother. Barakallah fi. Barakallah fikum. This is our problem. The problem is, right now, we should look for authentic hadith. You yourself, right now, if you have a problem, do you believe everybody? No, you don't believe everybody. You look for the best. If your child, God forbid, is sick and he needs medical attention, you will find out the best doctor for that particular disease to take your child to. That's what I would do. My deen is more important to me than myself or my child or anything else. So when I need to find a matter about my deen, I need to find the best and the most knowledgeable. And I need to ask him. Okay? I don't take it lightly. I need to know which one is authentic, which one is not authentic, and so on. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. تفضل, please.
I want to know if zakat is combined as
Speak time.
I want to know if zakat is combined as a family or not. So, like for example, if my dad got a saving of 70 grams of gold after 1 year, he wouldn't have to pay zakat on it because he didn't have 85, right? But then if I had got a saving of 30 grams of gold, and then my dad also had 70 grams of gold, if I combine that, then would I do the 2.5% zakat on that or no?
Did you hear the question?
Yeah, what he asked.
I didn't ask you.
Yeah.
Be quiet. You heard
You
the
seem to
question?
hear my voice better. That's why.
أخي أخي واحد الله.
So he's asking, is zakat per family or is it per individual?
Okay. No, the zakah is for individual. Your wealth is your wealth. Your father's wealth is your father's wealth, right?
Yeah.
And besides, the percentage is the same. Wait. It's 2.5%. Now, if you have 2,000 and you have 3,000, you're going to come up with 5,000. You're going to pay zakah. So part of it is on him, part of it is on you, because this is your money. So it'll be the same whether it's combined or separate. The only time it makes a difference when it does not reach the nisab.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay? No. If you are an individual by yourself, and you live by yourself, and you are an individual by yourself, you do it on your own, and he does it on his own. If you are part of him, you're living with him, then you do it combinedly. So I don't know what the situation is. It depends, okay? I have my son who is working, and he's saving money. Whenever he reached the nisab, he should pay zakat. That is his money. That is not my money. And my money reached the nisab, then I have to pay zakat. But if I have 300 and he has 600, 600 is not nisab, 300 is not nisab. We combine them, they become nisab. No. That's his money, that is my money, if we are separate individual. Is that the question?
Yeah.
Also, for example, if you earn 100,000,
Say what?
if you earn 100,000 and you spend 100,000,
No.
no saving. So no zakah.
Az-zakah
It's for
has
1
two
year.
conditions.
Yeah.
Money that left aside
Yes.
for a whole
Year.
Hijri year.
Period.
Okay? What happened is that the amount could go up and down. The one that's subject to zakah, the one that was stable,
Yeah. That's saving.
okay?
That's
But-
called saving. Yeah.
Let me give you an example. Al-Layth ibn Sa'd, radiallahu anhu. Al-Layth ibn Sa'd was one of the greatest fuqaha of Egypt. One of the greatest fuqaha of Egypt. If he is not the greatest. He used to be so rich. Every year, thousands of money he used to get. He never paid zakah. The money all spent. nothing will be saved
Yeah, that's what,
for the whole year,
yeah,
you know.
that's what I was saying. Yeah.
No.
Brother,
Tfaddal.
very quick question. So, many of us have.
Speak up,
Like-
speak up.
So, if I, for example, have a saving, I mean, I never counted as saving, like 3,000, 4,000, but it goes up and down, and I don't keep a record of this and how much it was. So, should I keep like, okay, first of Muharram, how much money I have? If that reaches nisab, I will pay zakah. And
Right.
if that does not, then I don't.
That's what the scholar had advised. He said,
Okay.
pick up, you know,
Any day.
a day, pick up a day, you know, of the year. That he said, every Muharram, I will find out how much I have. I will give out 2.5% out of it. Okay? But do not make tricks.
Yeah.
Do not come to the Hijjah and spend because you're coming to, you know, to Muharram. You know you're gonna make your zakah on Muharram.
Never going to.
So you come in the Hijjah, you divert some of this money, and then you come back in Safar and you bring it back.
And what is your understanding about the nisab in dollars amount? Just a rough idea.
The best that Majlis al-Fiqh right now they have agreed on, there's two numbers. I don't know which one is for 2016, but I've heard both numbers, $800 or $1,000.
Okay.
They made the nisab. The nisab has something to do with the weight of gold or the weight of silver.
Yeah. And they say 85 gram of gold, something like 85 gram of gold, something like.
Yeah, 85 gram of gold, that would make it nisab, or 483 gram of silver will make nisab. I don't know, but anyway, the nisab is between 800 or 1,000. Wallahu subhanahu wa ta'ala. Faddal.
What's the difference between Ahmad?
I don't hear very well.
Get up and say no.
Speak loud.
What's the difference between Amada and Yawma in the Quran?
Amada?
Amada
Yeah.
and Yawma in the Quran.
Amada wa yawma.
What's the two ayah?
So I don't remember, but in Surah Al-Jinn, it's towards the end of Surah Al-Jinn, it says Amada. I don't know exactly where. And then the other one for Yawma talks about Allah creating the heavens and the earth in 6 days. And then I heard from Dr. Zakir Naik, I don't know if you know him, he says that Yoma actually means a period of time, not like a day. But then whenever I looked at the meaning of the Amada, that means a period of time. And I'm just wondering why Allah didn't say Amada over there instead of saying Yoma. Because scientists nowadays say that it's impossible for the earth to be made within 6 days, 24-hour periods.
Okay. Jazakallah khair. I'm not running away from the answer, first of all. But I'm going to ask you something. What difference does it make to you to know the difference between Amada and a day? What difference does it make to you? Does it increase your iman? Does it make you feel Allah better? Does it straighten your action better?